Random thought. Are HBCUs having the best week ever? And, you think of, that was it MTV had that show, The Best Week Ever?
Yeah.
You remember that? I mean, because you think of all the things that happen. One of the things we'll talk about coming up in For the Love of Sports, but the Megan Thee Stallion graduating from Texas Southern this week, so a lot of eyes on HBCUs. J.R. Smith not graduating yet, but there was a lot of stuff when he first started going to North Carolina A&T, which, me being in a CIAA at Fayetteville State University, we knew about North Carolina A&T. That was Party Central. Anybody knows about North Carolina A&T knows Party Central. Homecoming was off the chain for them, right? But when he was going there, a couple students who gave him some hell and like, oh, J.R. Smith on our campus, ha, ha, ha. He's like, look, I'm here for my education. Not only that, he got a 4.0. So with this kind of positive news coming out of HBCUs, and of course the signing over at Jackson State, which again we'll talk about in For the Love of Sports, are HBCUs having the best week ever?
They are. I mean, I think they're getting a lot more notoriety and especially noticeability because there's so many different HBCUs that you wouldn't have heard of, if you're not from certain areas, right? So there's that. I think that it's great for the students to be able to connect with some of these people because they're just taking classes just like the rest of them. So, and I think Megan Thee Stallion was going to help all their people in her class like get jobs or something like that somehow.
Yeah, because she got her degree in healthcare administration and she wanted to open up a facility and hire people in her graduating class. So yeah, kudos to her for that.
Yeah, and I think it probably started after, remember Jeff Bezos' wife through the divorce, she gave a whole bunch of money to HBCUs.
Right.
Ever since then, you just start to see this trickle of some good money going to HBCUs, but also now you're starting to see some great talent, some celebrities. I think it's been a great week.
And one of the things that you can say is that you don't see a lot of eyes on HBCUs all the time. So to see this positive light, because Howard University definitely didn't have a lot of good eyes on them recently with the protests going on in their campus. And Felicia Rashad took a lot of heat for some of that as well, especially to being tone deaf to what was happening. But to see this positive light, I think has been great. You went to an HBCU, I went to an HBCU. We've also went to the PWIs as well, as was discussed on the Wise and Wine podcast with Jen, with 2 N's. If you haven't listened to that, go check it out. But it's definitely great, and it feels good to see that, man. I think it's one of the things HBCUs get a bad rep sometimes, and really and truly. It's a hell of an experience, and I think it's one of those things that we definitely need a lot more positive news coming out in our universities.
Yeah, no, I and what I like about it, it's not just sports. It's not like this dominant play or this dominant player. What I loved about the J.R. Smith story is that he got a 4.0. But he thought he was going to have like a 3.8. I mean, he was like just a little bit off and was that disappointed in himself. And then found out he got the 4.0. I mean, I think that's the scholarship part of going to any institution, but especially HBCUs. I really like how they're highlighting a lot of different aspects to it. So I think it's good.
And it's not like because Megan went that all of a sudden you're going to have people who want to go and stop twerking and decide to go to school. Well, is this part of my admission exam?
I mean, they can go the
twerk AT.
They can go the Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion route to a bachelor's degree, but you're already there. Why not just don't shake your ass for 3 years, get your piece of paper, walk across the stage, twerk all you want. I was wondering if she's going to get on stage after she gets her deal. That's just.
But she didn't. So I watched the video. The interesting thing about the video of her walking across the stage was the people that were the most, she was excited about it, and she, smiled and took her pictures. But the faculty that was on stage were so excited to have her there and so excited. And I don't know if they thought maybe she was going to twerk or what, but, because they had their cameras.
All had the
cameras ready, just in case. Just in case.
Yeah, let's watch what she does. Let's watch what she does.
But, the thing about Megan is that she's always, throughout her rise in the music industry, she's always pushed the fact that she was in school. Even if it was just a photo op picture of her in the hotel room doing homework, regardless, I think pushing that narrative of, yes, I can do this and still education is important. I think that's one of the key things. And the fact that here it is at HBCU, great, because I think, again, it's that positive light. And just like Hillman, in a different world. Hillman, not a real college, but you will hear people. I wasn't one of those people who was inspired by that to go to HBCU, but I've heard people who I went to school with or who may have gone to an HBCU and, you know what? Watching a different world made me want to go because it looked like a lot of fun.
School days made me want to go. That came out in the 80s.
Am I not surprised?
That came out in the 80s. Like school days was like, I want to do that. I want to do all of that.
Was it when she licked his part? Was that?
No, that's what I wanted done to me. But
like, is that what they do in college?
Yeah.
They need to go there.
All that. Everything. I want to do all of that.
Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Yonni Root.
And I'm just Terrell. You ever been out somewhere and overheard two people having crazy conversations?
Well, we are those people, and we've been having those conversations since college.
Yes, it's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts Podcast, episode 67. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment.
You know, as we talk about HBCUs having the best week ever, definitely Jackson State is one of the ones that definitely had a great week. And the fact that Travis Hunter, who many thought was going to go to Florida State, early commit to Florida State, and then come signing day, he's got two hats up on the table in front of him. He's got Georgia, he's got Florida State. He puts the Georgia on, tosses it to the side, of course, because it's always about the hoopla and what happens, right? Gets to Florida State and he goes, nah, not that one either, throws it away. And the most impressive thing about this was when he says, Ma, toss me that. She tosses him a hat, and he has, while holding the mic and not flinching, reaches across body, catches the hand, backhanded, catches the hat, flips it up, puts it on his head, boom, to show that he's going to Jackson State with Coach Neon Dion, Coach Prime Time, Deion Sanders at Jackson State Tigers.
So I think it's a great pickup for Deion's team and the Tigers. I just didn't like how he did it. Do it with some class. Pick a school, move on, and then what? Because so what happens if he goes his first year? Prime time doesn't give him any playing time, and he wants to go into the transfer portal. And then all these other schools are like, yeah, I would have picked you up, but all that shit you talked when you did your signing day.
First of all, signing day is a spectacle, okay? So don't act like he's the first person to do that.
I didn't say you were.
Matter of fact, Dre Kirkpatrick, if there's anybody you should be mad at, it should be Dre Kirkpatrick. Because when he went through his signing day some years ago, and this is I want to say he's still in the NFL right now, but he had a choice between Texas and Alabama. And he picked up the Texas hat and went, nah, they definitely ain't going to be this because this hat doesn't have enough swag for me, and throws the Texas hat. And then goes through this whole deal of having a bag delivered to him, opening it up, and pulling out a different Alabama hat, which had more swag than the Alabama hat that was sitting on the table, and using that. But people have done these kind of things. You had one guy who went skydiving, made it look like a video game, and then narrowed it down to 3. He went through 3 school hoops, and then when he landed, it said who it was going to be. It was going to be Ole Miss. So this is nothing new. Them tossing the hats because you're only mad if it's not your team. And if you're mad because he chose an HBCU and that's why, he should have done it with class, I'm sorry, you can't be.
No, all of them. I just don't like how they do it. Personally, but I think
act like you've been here before.
Well, because he's the number one cornerback in the nation, right?
Yeah, number one. He's number one, I think, on the Athlon Sports top 300, and number 2 in ESPN top 300.
Okay, skyrocketingly high. So if you go to an HBCU and he doesn't have the year that he wants, or here's another thought: if traditionally HBCUs don't get all the talent. So in the past, they were normally easy wins for other known schools.
Mm-hmm.
So do you think this kid could be going to Jackson State because it's going to be easier for him to have a lot more stats, a lot more picks in that program compared to...
If I am the best cornerback in the country, right? I am the number 2 recruit. Number 2 that goes past all these other quarterbacks you have coming up. I am the best. then you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go where I can learn from the best. And who is the best cornerback ever to play in the league? Prime time. I'm going to go learn from Prime. And I'm going to go there and pick his brain because he has already been where I want to go, right? And I love what Prime is doing for HBCUs as a whole, because his thing is like, this is not about just Jackson State. It's about HBCUs as a whole. And this is what bringing. I watched that Celebration Bowl game, the Cricket Celebration Bowl that was in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Saturday. I watched it. I didn't watch the whole thing, but I watched more of that game than I watched of my own alma mater playing, okay? Which tells you something. There's so much excitement around it, and it's great. Now, these kids are still going to have to show and prove, but at the same time, I think for him, for this kid, the fact that here he is, he gets a chance to learn from the best, why not?
When you put it like that, it makes sense. Especially when you learn how to market yourself. If you go into the NFL, like Prime Time was amazing at that. So from that standpoint, yes. I was just curious. I would think, if you're the number one, number two player, don't you want to play against the number one, number two talent? And you're not going to have that same opportunity. You'll still play against talented people, but when you think of talent, look at your top 25.
Not a bad point, but then, and I know I can already hear your counter argument in what I'm about to say. So before I get to it, I will say this: no other coach is bringing Brittany Renner in to talk to the boys. Okay, so therefore the players are like, all right, look, Prime, you got me. But the other point I was going to make was Jerry Rice went to an HBCU, greatest football player ever. Okay, let's make that. Oh, greatest wide receiver, whichever way you want to go. Doug Williams, first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl, played for the racist Washington Redskins back then, and he won a Super Bowl for them, right? Yep. He went to Grambling. Then you also had Sweetness himself, Walter Payton, who went to Jackson State. So you've had NFL caliber talent. That's not only just NFL caliber, but some of the best to do it in their positions, and Super Bowl winning talent that have gone on to play in the NFL that came out of HBCUs. Was it because they played against inferior talent? No.
Yeah, I mean, just a thought. I mean, I hope it works out well for him. I think there's a lot that he could learn from Deion. I just wonder, is he going to get challenged from a competition standpoint? Because Deion, they had an amazing season. But like I said, you normally don't see these schools in the top 25. And so that's just and it's not a concern that he shouldn't go to HBCU. Go wherever you want. And if this is a great opportunity for you, do it. I'm just wondering, are you going to be playing against top level talent that's going to get you ready for the NFL? Like if CD Lamb didn't play for Oklahoma and he went to Wiley, I don't even know if they have a football team anymore, but if he went to some school, would he be as prepared to be this phenom that he is at in the Cowboys because of the level of talent they had to play?
There's a great wide receiver. I consider him probably the second or third best, and stats-wise, he's, I think, number 2 or number 3 ever to play the game. Most people know him by initials. He shares a name very close to yours.
Yeah, T.O.
T.O. Yeah, he went to University of Tennessee, Chattanooga. Wasn't a big school. When he came out, he wasn't the guy that everybody was ranting and raving about that got drafted by the 49ers. That was J.J. Stokes, who went to UCLA. And he was supposed to be the man. He's the man that Jerry Rice said, you know what? If I had your body, I'd be unstoppable. And J.J. Stokes was a flop. T.O. became arguably second, third, a top 5 wide receiver of all time. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter where you go to school. So I think... And I will say this, the one thing that he's going to learn, Travis Hunter is going to learn about this right now, is that he's already being challenged on something, because there's already this conspiracy out there that he has a deal coming with Barstool for about $1 million, and that's probably was contingent on him going to go play with Prime, because Prime also works for Barstool. And whether it's true or not, that narrative was going to be painted out there at some point or another, right? And so it's already out there, and it hasn't exploded as big, and maybe by the time the podcast drops it will, but this is something that I think is just interesting that they're going to go after him in this manner, because now as these kids are able to earn while they're in college, they want to find a reason. But if he went to Alabama, nobody would give a shit because it's Alabama.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And at the same time, I saw someone post, because I love going in the comment section. That's where you find all the good stuff anyway. The hell with the meat of the story. Somebody's like, who wants to go play for a team that was 3-8 the last 2 seasons, or do you want to go play for a team that was 11-1? Well, prior to the Celebration Bowl when they lost that, so it was 11-2. But still, a winning team as opposed to another. But I get your point, and we should follow him and see how he does and what he does. As they move forward.
I think a lot of people are going to be following Jackson State next year.
Brittany Renner's might be one of them too. Maybe even Ted Cruz.
No,
Jackson State's better than Cabo.
Ted Cruz is going to follow anybody. So in the news this week, so Ted Cruz sent out pretty much a patronizing tweet, and it was to Representative Eric Swalwell's. It was referring to the criticism of his slow walking of President Joe Biden's State Department nominee. Ted Cruz tweets this guy and says, "Hush, child, the adults are working." And I'm like, God, this motherfucker. I just don't get him. But bless his heart, as they say in the South. So Ted Cruz is still Ted Cruz. He's still going to try to condescend any way he possibly can. And as 2022 is approaching, this is our time. This is my weekly reminder. This is our time.
Yep, it is. Unfortunately, that tweet is the kind of thing that you wouldn't have heard from Ted Cruz prior to Donald Trump's run for president, right? And Republicans have realized that this is what the base wants to hear. People saying crap like that. So he's going to put out little stuff like that. And of course, he's trying to rally the base because he needs their vote. And unfortunately, that's what they want to hear. And they're going to like it. And Texas is going to Texas. Texas is going to Florida. Texas is going to flex us. And Senator Ted Cruz will be Senator Ted Cruz once again. And unfortunately, we'll be hearing about him in the run for president again. So as long as Trump isn't running. So I love what you do. And as we round out this year,
you got it all planned out.
We're good. Yeah. As we get to 2022, I think it's going to be amazing to see you try and keep this rally going. But I hate to say it, Texas is going to put him right back in office.
Well, let's see what the weather's like this February. See if we have any. If there's a snowpocalypse too, Ted's out.
Well, according to you, it only happens every 20 years. So.
Yeah. Just saying, if it happens, Ted's out. Done deal.
So this popped up in the mailbox, rgrtpod@gmail.com. Apparently, there was indeed some voter fraud in the 2020 election because, that was the big thing. We've got to stop voter fraud. And now we know why Republicans are pushing for this so hard, especially as we move forward to the next set of elections, because they want to make sure this voter fraud doesn't happen again. Unfortunately, these people are trying to vote for them.
Right.
So I saw this one, and because think about this. We saw this a couple months ago, wasn't it? With the homecoming debacle, and I think it was in Florida.
Yeah.
Of this voter fraud they spoke of, and it popped up there. Then all of a sudden, guess what happens? Florida Trump supporters arrested on charges of casting more than one vote in 2020 election. No surprise. We're back in Florida again, and there's more Republican voter fraud. The same thing that they're trying to stop with all these laws, these voter suppression laws they're trying to put in place.
But the crazy thing is, it doesn't matter. No one's going to believe them. So if you're a Trump supporter, you're going to look at this story as the fake media saying whatever. And then if you hate Trump, you're going to be like, see, here's proof that, these people are bad. No one wins. It's just annoying.
Unfortunately, you are absolutely right. Because remember when there was the whole thing during the election of, oh, yes, there were mail bins of mail-in ballots found on the side of the road. Nobody said that all those ballots were cast for Democrats. They just said,
they were ballots.
See, this is the voter fraud we're talking about. But it doesn't matter because whatever narrative you want, this is where we are. This country is so divided that it doesn't matter.
Right.
We pick sides, and we're staying on those sides, and that's how it is. And I say we just because if we're talking as a country, it should be we. Not like we're speaking French, but just we. But at the same time, you picked your side, and it's nobody listening to the other side. It's just as soon as you take a breath, this other person is going to go ahead and spew their bullet points. And as soon as they take a breath, you're going to spew your bullet points. And it's just like, it's very tiring.
I love when I see it on social. So you have somebody posts a story, someone else will comment under that. That's just, this is just libtard bullshit or whatever. And the person's like, no, this is the truth. And they, give me your source. And then they put another article. And then they'll be like, yeah, that's a conservative right-wing, publication. I mean, it's just no matter what. You could show people. There's been cases we've shown videotape. This is you. I didn't do that. It's just how it is.
Yeah.
So I just laughed when I saw that story because A, I believe it. But B, it's like they're not going to believe it. No Trump supporter is going to be like, you know what? There were a few bad apples out there.
It's the problem is that people are sheep, right? And we've seen this. I mean, just recently over the last couple of days with the whole Charlemagne and Vice President Kamala Harris, right? The comment sections and all these different places that have posted it, the comment sections are an interesting place because a lot of people taking sides and going, oh, that's right, we haven't heard anything from them anyway. Remember I think I want to say this about a week or 2 weeks ago, I said, the minute somebody just said, oh, we haven't heard from them, one person said it, and that just snowballed into, well, they are not doing anything. We haven't heard from them. But when Trump was talking every time, well, he's just talking too much. He needs to do something. Pick what do you want? Because it can't be both ways, and people are just so easily swayed. The Super Predator comment came out with Hillary Clinton, who I was no fan of just because of the 2008 election. But man, people just sheep. You get herded and they just follow along. And people want to do research on this goddamn vaccine, but don't want to do research on the politics.
Well, I think with politics, it's whatever you strongly believe in, anything else they say is not right. And even if you do think what they're saying is right, you're not going to admit it because you're standing on principle. Because both people can be right at the same time. It's totally okay. But when you start having these conversations with folks, it's just, no matter what I read, no matter what article, everything you're hearing about the January 6th investigation, it doesn't matter. There's going to be half of the world that's going to be like, that's a lie. That's just a smear campaign trying to stop President Trump from running again in 2024. It's going to be this huge made up thing. So it's just, I try to ignore those because it's clickbait at this point.
Which were the same people who are like, no, that was Black Lives Matter that was unruly at those protests.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Again, it's the same thing of if you're in the crosswalk, walking in the crosswalk, or you're in the car. Your perspective changes depending on where you are. Because if you're in the car, you're like, I bet I run your ass over. And if you're in the crosswalk, you're like, I bet you better not hit me.
Yeah. It's. I'm just trying to avoid it. This is it's going to be an ugly political season again, especially if Trump runs. It's just going to be messy. And so.
You want to talk about messy? I saw this also in the mailbox, rgrtpod at gmail.com. And, well, somebody sent this link, and it was to an Instagram reel, which came from a TikTok. And I'm really hoping that this wasn't real. But you decide. And if it isn't real, then please let us know. But I'm really hoping this is like like from one of our very first episodes, maybe from one of our test episodes with the teacher, the daycare twerking the ABCs. I'm hoping it's one of those cases.
Porch monkeys, or anyone else have any other ideas?
I would say no to.
What was it?
Oh, I was gonna.
Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say no to porch monkeys because it's a racial slur.
Oh, okay. We'll scratch that off immediately.
Yeah.
We'll just scratch that off there.
Erase. Gonna get some white out real quick. Hey girl, we should get shirts made. We totally should.
I really hope this is one of these made up joys because it's the way it was done. I don't know. It was great. If it was acting, she did a good job playing along. If not, I'm not surprised.
I don't know. Either way, I just thought the response was like, oh, yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and cross this one, right?
Just a matter of fact. All right. So, anybody have any other names?
But I wonder, like, did they really know? Did they really believe her that it was a racial slur, or did they just like all of a sudden become too woke and just don't want to upset whatever black person says is racial? Like, oh, that's bad. I can't say that.
I know you were a little up. You were a little taken aback when we had the "I Got Popeyes" song.
Don't you do?
You're not a big fan of that.
You're not about to play that video.
I'm not actually.
Okay.
I'm really not. I know you weren't also a big fan of your girl Tessica and her song. You really weren't feeling that one.
It'll move. It'll move.
I got another one for you. This was sent to us as well too. This one actually came into the at RGRT pod on IG. Oh, you ready?
No.
Good answer.
This is a song that I wrote for my ex. Fuck you. I hope your mother gets in a crash. I hope you go to jail and get done in the ass. I hope you get life and put in a chair. And if you have a funeral, I won't be there. I hope you skydive and get hit by a plane. I hope you go camp and get caught in the rain. I hope your next girl is shaped like a pear and she got dookie streaks in her underwear. I hope. Fuck you. I hope you never get a job. I hope your dick tastes like corn on the cob.
Wow, she big mad.
I want to know what he did. Goddamn it!
Yeah, what did he do to you? Just 'cause that's a whole lot. And there's a woman out there that, well, I'm not even going to say.
Skydiving, get hit by a plane. That's not that your parachute won't open it, but you get hit by a plane. The visual alone.
Yeah. Big mad. I really want to know, like, what happened? What'd he do?
And I want to know what the guy looked like. Is she really? But I'm assuming she's from Texas somewhere. With this.
Whoa! Don't put her on us.
I'm just going by the style of music, the drawl, the heavy drawl.
That could be Arkansas.
or Tennessee.
Yeah. So it could be a lot of different places. Wyoming, West Virginia.
I'm going to stick with Texas. Oh, my God. What you drinking over there tonight, man?
A little glass of Malbec.
Well, I'm back on my favorite, the Four Roses. My second favorite, because I'm on a small batch, not the single barrel,
Well, I'm jealous. Four Roses looks good. Some good shit.
Yes, it definitely is. Hey, I'm Yonni Rude.
And I'm just Terryl.
Make sure you follow us at Yonni Rude, at Just Terryl, and at RGRT Pod.
Yes, be sure to send us some of your random thoughts or some of your bullshit. We'll talk about it on the show.
It's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts Podcast. Cheers.
Cheers, brother.
I hope.